the last game of the weekend. Well, not the last game of the weekend, right? Because we have Labor Day. We have Big Bill on Labor Day. We're not going
Mm-hmm.
to preview that game, unfortunately. Will was disappointed to hear that. But we're going to talk about one of the biggest games of the weekend that people really aren't talking about because it's on Sunday night. And that is Notre Dame traveling to Miami. All right, you have the Carson Beck era in Miami starting off. You have the CJ Carr era starting off here in Notre Dame. So you have two new starting quarterbacks in places that are, have one has produced very good quarterback play over the last year and one did not. But one made the national championship game last year, Will, and now I gotta say it was not the one with the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. What are you thinking about this game? This game is a historic rivalry. They have the Catholics versus the convicts thing going from back in the 80s, 90s. This has been a marquee game anytime these two schools link up. But this game is probably bigger than any of those games, since the 80s because these two teams feel like they can compete for not only conference championships unless you're Notre Dame and too scared to join a conference, but national championship and playoff implications are in this, like, so deep into this game.
Now, ain't it crazy? We have a big game, a top 10 matchup, and it feels like the third biggest game of the weekend, but that just goes to show how awesome and how loaded this week one slate is. Yeah, what an interesting matchup. Carson Beck coming to Miami. It kind of feels like a makeup for him not getting to play against Notre Dame in the playoff game last year. Now he gets to play against Notre Dame just with a different team. Notre Dame, though, I'm not sure. I don't know if I trust early season Notre Dame. They've lost some games early in the year, last few years, and now they're going on the road to Miami. I don't know if it'll feel much like a road game because I bet Notre Dame will travel, but that's a big test for them, man.
Yeah, you're right. Notre Dame fans are going to travel down here to Miami, and it is going to be quiet. It's not going to be that hostile. This isn't the old Orange Bowl days, like where you had 400 NFL players on the field for Miami at the same time. Like, this is a new era, but this is a good era, right? Because a lot of people will say Miami hasn't been reaching expectations. And yes, the expectations for Miami are high, but if you look at where this program was when Mario Cristobal took over to where it is now, we are talking about a team that is top 5 in talent profile. So they are stacking recruiting classes, high school, portal. Obviously, you add a guy like Carson Beck, the number one player in the portal, and that's not going to hurt anybody, right? We saw what Cam Ward did last year for them. Can we get that out of Carson Beck this year? I think that is probably the most intriguing thing because that's what makes Miami so dangerous. If you get the inconsistent Carson Beck like you did at Georgia at times last year, it could backfire on you. But man, if he can be a little bit more consistent, all right, and they can figure some things out defensively because that is what is going to always hold Miami back. If they don't fix the defensive issues, it is going to be the same story as last year. But you have a team in Notre Dame coming in there that wants to out physical you. They want to just physically dominate. They take over that mindset of their head coach and they play aggressive and they are a ferocious team. I will give Marcus Freeman, he rebuilt that culture. You do not look at Notre Dame the same way you did when Brian Kelly was there. They play aggressively. They get tons of talent now. They have figured things out at Notre Dame as far as acquiring talent and developing talent. They are doing a tremendous job. But when I say that, how many Notre Dame teams under Brian Kelly and years before Brian Kelly did we say, man, Notre Dame would be great if they could just get better quarterback play? And is CJ Carr going to be that guy? He's a highly touted guy coming out of high school, but this is his first time running the show. This is not Northern Illinois. This is Miami. And yes, that defense was terrible last year, but you don't think that they worked all offseason to get better and have been preparing to make a statement in week one against a top 5 Notre Dame team? It is going to be a marquee game, and I am super excited to watch this game, Will. Who do you think is coming out on top? We got Notre Dame as a 2.5 road favorite. Do you think Miami can pull the upset at home?
Yeah, I'm expecting Miami to win, to be honest. I don't trust early season Notre Dame, like I said before. They seem to have struggled in games early in the year. It takes them a little while to figure stuff out, and I'm just saying that trend's going to continue.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. It feels like Marcus Freeman definitely gets out of the gates a little slower, but Notre Dame always seems to be playing their best ball in November, which is probably when you want to be playing your best ball. So it's not a terrible thing, but I think this game is huge for Miami. I just think it is so monumental. Like, this is the game that you needed last year, right? Because why you got kept out of the playoffs is because everybody looked at your schedule, they saw all the close games that you had against bad teams, and you didn't have any marquee wins on that schedule. So to get a big win like this in week one would mean everything to Miami, and it would mean everything to the ACC. It would prove all the doubters that say, hey, this is going to be a one big league that maybe this year they can possibly get to. Because if you can hang a Notre Dame win on your resume, that takes a lot of pressure off you throughout the season that you could probably slip up or even lose to like a Clemson or something along the way and still feel okay about your playoff chances. So I'm going to be with you, man. I think Miami's going to get it done. I think, like I said, this is a top 10 matchup people are forgetting about. It's the third game of the weekend that nobody is really talking about, but I think Miami has done a tremendous job recruiting. I think Mario Cristobal is taking over this Miami program and is running it right into the right direction. The same thing he was doing at Oregon, but can they get over that hump? These are the big games that you have to win if you want to declare yourself good enough to make a playoff. So this is a big game for Miami. I think obviously if Notre Dame loses, they still have all the runway in front of them that they can still make the playoffs. But this game for Miami is so crucial. That's why I got the Hurricanes winning and pulling the upset down there.
Yeah, this is a situation I feel like where we could be sitting in December and saying maybe the winner of this game makes the playoff, the loser doesn't. I don't know how many more opportunities for a big win against the top 10 team either one of these programs will get. So just a big game for both right out of the gate.